another exciting episode of yours truly. Yeah, man. So you can tell by the title what we're talking about. We're going to be talking about the fact that reparations cannot be achieved without a coalition of support. Now, first of all, I got to apologize going live on the struggle stream. You know what I'm saying? Still having some issues with my Wi-Fi, but I got the guy coming up tomorrow to check that out. So I should be able to pick up this weekend with some really exciting videos. I actually got some really exciting videos coming, some really exciting lives coming this week. So I don't want y'all to miss that. I'm going to be doing the Bible in the News series. I'll try to record that. I'm thinking I might go live on that tomorrow after the Wi-Fi guy comes. And then I didn't forget, I'm still owe y'all a stream about A. Philip Randolph's freedom budget. We're gonna have a conversation about A. Philip Randolph's freedom budget. That's gonna be a really interesting topic. I told y'all I'm over here reading I'm over here reading this book. I suggest everyone go and get it if you haven't read it already. It's Martin Luther King's Where Do We Go From Here? Uh, right now, the talk of reparations is nothing new. We're talking about getting politically active. We're talking about getting politically active. We're talking about making serious strides for the black community and for a vision of the future. Sometimes, I mean, who better to think of than the man who was largely credited, not solely credited, but largely credited for envisioning and organizing the people behind the program that got us a lot of progress that we now in 2023 take for granted. I mean, it's crazy. I'm myself, I'll be the first one to tell you, I used to not appreciate Martin Luther King and all that he did for us. I thought, because they really lied to us, man. I feel like I was lied to when I was younger. I felt like I was lied to. They would say stuff like, "Oh, Martin Luther King," or I would hear people. I'm not gonna say they told us, but I would hear all I would see is white people bigging up Martin Luther King because he was nonviolent. Oh, did you see what Martin Luther King did? He was nonviolent. And you black people, you're rioting, you're protesting. You need to be more nonviolent like Martin Luther King. That's all I would hear from the white folks. From the black folks, all I would hear was, man, King, he was nothing but a coon. All he wanted to do was get us up around white folks. He wanted us to go spend our money with white folks. We had our own restaurants, our own buses, we had our own businesses, and we gave up all the things that we had so we could go spend our money with white folks. So I'm hearing these two sides, and they're both wrong. They're both telling half stories. Well, really, I mean, they're both wrong in my opinion. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. They both I feel like they was lying to me. Both sides was lying to me. On the white hand side, saying, "Oh, he was just known for being nonviolent and nonviolent marches." That's bull. Well, Martin Luther King should be known for two things, in my opinion. Number one, he should be known for the boycott. The boycott, economic power, economic discipline, economic power. That's where black people have the most strength. It's not about walking around getting bit up by dogs and getting beat by police and getting rocks thrown at you. That's dead. That's never coming back. People in 2023 and beyond are never going to go for that type of passivity, that type of that type of weakness. No, no, I'm not. Let me speak for myself. I'm not going. You throw a rock at me, nigga, I'm throwing it back. You hear me? You hear me? I'm not going. I'm not even gonna put myself in a situation where you would feel comfortable or you would think that you could just hit me with no type of repercussions, no type of bounce back. Now listen, I'm not gonna say I'm the biggest man in the world. I'm not. I'm not a bully or nothing. But I'm definitely into some self defense. If you hit me, I'm hitting you back. It is what it is, and that can lead us to wherever you want to take it to. So that whole passive, let's just be peaceful, we shall ever overcome. That's dead. But the white folks love bigging that part up. They love saying, "Oh, why don't you just be nonviolent and just walk around and let us, piss on you and throw stuff at you?" And that's the way it should be. That's the way of progress. But no, those white folks are lying to you when they big up Martin for that. Really, Martin Luther King should be known for the boycott. Remove your economic power from these white businesses. And you can do the same thing. Really, I mean, really, to be honest with you, if you want reparations, we can have it in 2023. I'll tell you how. Come in real close because it's a secret. If you want reparations in 2023, boycott Christmas. Boycott Christmas. Boom. I'm talking about January 2024. Reparations will be on the table, on the schedule. If no black person in America spends $0 on Christmas presents, no Christmas dinner, no ham, no turkey, no whatever it is. I don't eat none of that stuff. I don't celebrate Christmas, but for whatever it is that you eat on Christmas, your yams, whatever you eating for Christmas, don't buy none of it. Don't have no Thanksgiving, don't have no Christmas, don't have no family get together. Stay at home like it's a regular day. Stay at home, don't go out to no bars, don't go partying, nothing. Don't spend no dollars. I'm talking about from from Black Friday. You should start your boycott the day before Black Friday. No, the day before Thanksgiving. The day before Thanksgiving, because that's when you usually get off. People usually get off work the day before Thanksgiving. Don't spend no money on no presents and no extravagant food for Thanksgiving. Don't go shopping on Black Friday. Don't get nothing on Christmas Eve. Don't go out for Christmas. Don't go out for New Year's Eve. Don't go out, period. If you want reparations by 2024, boom. I just gave you the blueprint. You're done. All you got to do is boycott the holidays. Say, but of course, you're going to need somebody to organize it, which is what made King so powerful. That's what really made King so powerful. Shout out to the folks on the live. But yeah, that's what made King so powerful. The fact that he would say, "Don't buy Coca Cola," and boom, nobody bought Coca Cola. King would say, "Don't ride on the bus," and boom, nobody riding on the bus. I'm talking about for years. People were like, "Nope, I'm walking, I'm crawling, I'm hopping in the bus, we're carpooling, we're gonna do whatever we gotta do. I'm skateboarding, I'm skipping, I'm on my skates, I'm rollerblading, whatever you gotta do. Don't get your butt on that bus." Why? Because this man said it. Because this man said it. That's really what made King so powerful. He was able to organize and call for a boycott, and the people, I'm talking about thousands of people, if not hundreds of thousands of people, respected him, respected his voice, respected his call for discipline and sacrifice, and the people made it happen by boycotting. That's what gave King the power, the boycott. And if you want reparations, all you got to do is continue the blueprint that King set out, which is not peaceful protest, which is not peaceful marching, which is not getting rocks thrown at you. The path for success is through the boycott. You boycott Thanksgiving, you boycott Christmas, and you boycott New Year's. The country will feel so much economic pain. You know the reason they call it Black Friday? What percentage of businesses go in the black? Throughout the entire year, they operate in the red. They have not made a profit. But Black Friday, we spend so much money on Black Friday in anticipation for Christmas that businesses all across the country go into the black, meaning they finally made a profit for the year. The most significant profit for the year comes from Black Friday and that holiday season. If you want to cripple America, if you want to have America and every politician bow and bend to the will of the black foundational black Americans, it's not hard to do. All you got to do is organize a boycott of Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year. The problem is, let's be real, how many people are man enough? How many people are disciplined enough? How many people are willing to sacrifice their time with their children? They're tired. But what about the kids though? What about the family? Nana's getting old and we don't know how many more Christmases she's gonna have. So, you know, I want reparations and I love my people, but we gotta have Christmas, just we gotta have Christmas, you know. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. All you need. All you need to make these plans come true, to have political power, to have economic power, to have economic justice, is the discipline and the will to sacrifice. The will to sacrifice, the ability, the discipline to sacrifice, sacrifice and delay gratification. You do boycott the holiday season 1 year. That second year, I guarantee you, especially 2024 being an election year, 2023, if every Black American, foundational Black American, boycotted the holiday season this year, 2023, and 2024, whether it be Joe Biden, Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, whoever's running for office, whether it be Andrew Yang with his UBI, whether it be Marianne Williamson, RFK, Robert Kennedy, whoever it be, they will all have to acknowledge and capitulate to the Black Americans who had the discipline to boycott the holiday season. But that's just wishful thinking. I know y'all not going to do it, so. But I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. Let me go on record. Let me be the one to say it, in case nobody thought of it. Let me just be the one to throw that out there in the ether, throw that out there in the atmosphere. Maybe somebody will catch it and catch wind of that and run with it. But let me be the one to tell you, that's the way. If you really want reparations, that's how you get it. With that being said, going back to my point, my original point was the fact that yeah, the white folks lied to you saying that King was famous for being nonviolent. No, he was famous for boycotting. All right. Number two, the black folks, because I got to get on the white folks first. You know what I'm saying? I gotta keep my foot on their neck. I ain't letting up. Gotta acknowledge that first. But with that being said, the lies coming from the black people, and really it's the most assiduous. It's the worst part. But it's not the worst part. I'm just gonna say it's more so out of ignorance, at least on my part, because I bought into it. Like people told me this, and I took it and ran with it as a kid. You know what I'm saying? As a kid, as a younger dude, like when I was you know what I'm saying, when I was like in my my late teens, early 20s, I was buying that too. Like, man, this came, oh, he wasn't all that for real. This man got us up around all these white folks. Man, we could have had our own businesses. Like, things didn't get that much better now that we got integration again, but they still got all the money though. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay. I mean, I wasn't broke or nothing. I come from a good family. I had good education and all that stuff. I was in the army at the time. I was in the army, went to school, got scholarships, went to school. I was living good. But at the same time, I realized at a young age, late 20s, early 20s, I was looking around and I was like, okay, so let me check this out. Let me think about it like this. Japan, if you look at ancient Japan, you know how they used to wear the kimonos, they used to wear like their ancient garb, like the kimonos, those think of Japanese culture, Japanese uh samurai clothes, right? They just I would share an image, but just rock with me on this one. Think about ancient Japan. They would wear their kimonos, they would wear their Japanese garb, right? That was Japanese way of dress, right? Then think about Africans. They used to wear their dashikis, and that was their hats, and even men would wear their like long dress like looking clothes. I don't know what it's called, but just rock with me. Put the image in your mind of ancient African clothes. Even today when you go to like Morocco or like what I mean, some of these places in the Middle East. Mind you, Africa wasn't a continent until the Suez Canal was built. So before that, all of that was Africa. But that's a story for another day. But go to Mecca, and see how the people are dressed with those long, almost dress like clothes with the hat, all wearing white. That was their style of dress, right? So you had Japanese wearing the kimonos, you had Africans wearing dashikis, you had, just different cultures. In Ireland, they were wearing their kilts and stuff like that. Think about all these different cultures and the way they dress. How is it that a suit and tie became the only way to dress for success in the world of business? Just think about that. And this really dawned on me when I was in the army because they make you shave. They make you shave every day, and I used to hate shaving. I used to hate shaving. And in the army, they make you shave every day and make you wear a uniform. And okay, I get it. I was in the army, so I was like, okay, I understand the uniformity in the army. But even when you get out of the army, you still got to wear a suit and tie. And the suit and tie is basically an army uniform. You got your blazer, just like the army. You got your trousers, khaki, khakis, whatever, your slacks. The only difference is you got to wear a tie. You got your button-up shirt. Okay, army, you don't wear button-ups, but it's loosely tied to the army. It's basically an army uniform. Anyway, I always thought it was interesting that all these countries had to give up their own culture. They had to give up their own way of dress. And now all over the world, if you want to do business, you have to wear what? The suit and tie. You have to wear the white man's clothes. You have to be what? Clean shaven. Does the fact that you shaved your face, does that make you any smarter? No. Does it make you manage time better? No. Does it make you show up on time, more diligent, more hardworking, more disciplined? No, no, no. You can have a beard, you can have dreads, you can wear a dress like a kilt, for the Irish. You can wear a kimono, you can wear your African dashikis, and you can be just as talented, just as intelligent, just as just as uh, as just as disciplined as far as time management goes. You could be the best worker in the room, but if you're not dressed like the white man tells you to dress, then you will not get the respect. In most cases, you will not get the respect of being an adequate businessman, right? So I was thinking about that, and I say all that to say, why is it that we sacrifice so much? People were getting beat up in the streets. People were getting killed, firebombed. People sacrificed so much for what? So we could go sit at a white man's lunch counter? It didn't make sense to me. But then I started learning, started reading, figuring things out, growing, becoming more astute philosophically, reading books, man, reading books, getting more knowledge. What I found out was the black folks who had told me that, and I just took it because it sounded right and ran with it. But come to find out, that was a lie too. King didn't march for us to just be spending our money with white folks. No, King marched and white folks helped in the civil rights movement, not in large numbers, not in large numbers. The majority of white folks were not supportive of the civil rights movement. But many did come, and they credit where credit is due. Many did come and did assist, did march, and did participate in the civil rights movement. And King embraced their help because he understood that the population of black people is just not enough. Living in a democracy, the only way to get political power is through coalitions. And King understood that. King understood that although black people can lead our movements, black people have the intelligence and the fortitude, the mental fortitude, the courage, and the justification, really the necessity to lead our own movements. Although all of that is true, our movements will be less effective, if not, I wouldn't say ineffective, but definitely less effective and less efficient without the support of other communities. So, those were the two lies. White folks saying that he was just not violent, it's not true. It was the boycott that made King powerful. Black folks saying he just wanted to be up under white folks, not true. He appreciated and utilized the assistance of white folks and utilized the assistance of coalitions in order to make his dream a reality. He had a dream. Martin Luther King had a dream that one day black folks and white folks would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I don't think we're necessarily there yet, but I would be a fool and I'd be a liar if I told you progress hadn't been made. I think it's obvious that I think that is obvious that progress has been made on that front. So shout out to King. We're going to talk more about that this weekend when I get into some of those videos that I mentioned earlier, like the conversation with A. Philip Randolph and stuff like that. But one thing I wanted to mention. See, when I start ranting, I just be talking. You don't see. I don't have no notes here. I'm freestyling. This is just what's big on my mind. I'm just out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So I'm just over here speaking. You feel me? With that being said, um, as I said, with the title of the story, the only way that reparations will be realized, will be fulfilled, is through coalitions. So I said that to say the black folks who told us that he just wanted to run up over white folks, it's not really true. He's using coalitions. Now, that brings me, sorry, I had to get my mind right. That brings me to today. Today, the reparations movement is on fire. We are gaining momentum. It's obvious to see. If you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you would know that we're making progress in California, we're making progress in DC, we're making progress in the fact that we have presidential nominees or candidates, not nominees, but presidential candidates such as Marianne Williamson putting reparations on her platform. She's running for president. She's on the presidential stage. Never before have I seen this in my lifetime. I don't think it's ever happened before in life. Definitely not since Lincoln, that a presidential candidate has mentioned reparations in their platform. But yet, we have in Marianne Williamson someone that I'm not really a big supporter of her, but I am supporter of her platform. I don't think she'll be a good president just on some. She's not as sharp as. I mean, I like her platform is decent. I think she's against the wars, and I like her stance on reparations. But I'll talk about that, and then I don't want to get sidetracked. I don't want to get sidetracked. But that's a topic. The reason I don't fully support her is a topic for another video. Trying to stay focused, trying to get this out. Um, it's progress. It's definitely progress. It's definitely progress that we've had a black president, even though he's African, still he's melanated and he was the president. How did that happen if he wasn't being judged on the content of his character over the color of his skin? I mean, I'm not saying the job is done. All too often, people are discriminated against, but those are in. But progress has been made. I'll just leave it at that. But now that progress is made, we can't relax on our laurels. We cannot fall back and say, "Oh well, the job is done. We're all left to be our individual selves, and you just have to go out there and compete." No, because there's still millions of black folks who have to wear that legacy of generational poverty, generational lack, generational, curses that stem from slavery, and that those issues have never been corrected. So reparations is still necessary. Billions of dollars. The issue facing black folks, not all black folks, but I mean really all black folks, but more specifically foundational black Americans. This issue, even in the words of King, this issue will not be solved without a large investment from the federal government of billions, if not trillions of dollars. Um, It just won't be. It just won't. The economic plight of the foundational Black Americans will not be solved without the assistance of the federal government. So that's why we have to petition, we have to continue to petition the federal government for reparations to repair the harm caused by slavery. Now, on an individual level, I agree we should take financial and fiscal responsibility. We should all read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, even if you don't have a great financial literacy, even if you're not very financial literate, I mean that's one of the first books you should read. Rich Dad Poor Dad. On an individual level, everyone should read that. It should be it should be taught in school. I mean, it should be taught in school. Although we do need reparations from the federal government to repair the harm done in slavery, the personal responsibility that we all hold. Rich Dad Poor Dad is the foundation. You should read that. If not, after reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, or even before that, you can read The Richest Man in Babylon. You should, everybody. Everybody. There's no excuse. In 2023, you have the internet. Libraries are still open. There's no excuse for you not to know the basic foundations of a dollar. What to do with the dollar. You get a dollar, save 70%. Well, I mean, excuse you, you 70% goes to your bills and all of that good stuff, spending and all that good stuff. Save 10, invest 10, and 10 goes to if you have any debt. 10 to 20 can go to your debt, 10 goes to savings, the other 70% is what you can spend. That's at a minimum. At a minimum. That's at a minimum. You can play with those numbers if you want to, but at a minimum, 10% should go to your savings, 10 to 20% should go to your debts if you have any debts, and if you don't have any debt, then that 10 to 20 can go to investing. That's again, I'll be getting off topic. I'll be getting off topic, but I mean, hey, I'm dropping jewels. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, you better hit that like button. I'm dropping jewels, yo. I'm dropping jewels. You can hit the like button. You can hit the like button. No, that's the least you can do. I'm dropping jewels over here. I'm dropping jewels, man. I'm dropping jewels, man. But yeah, so we definitely need reparations on an individual level. Yes, we have to have fiscal responsibility. We should continue to read and know these things. But a lot of times, especially those of us who are somewhat successful or who do have some level of knowledge, we forget that everybody doesn't have knowledge. Just because you learned something today, just because you read a book, doesn't mean that the rest of the world has read that book or has that same knowledge. Because yesterday you didn't have that book. And a lot of times I got to remind myself too. I'm over here reading a book, right? So then I'll be like, oh man, I know this because I just read this book and everybody knows it. It's like, nah, dog. You just learned that. You just read that book yesterday. I'll tell you about you just read that book today. You just found that out today. So how are you going to look at the next man and be like, oh, how do you not know this? Dude, yesterday you didn't know. You just read the book. Nigga. You just found out this stuff and you acting like the rest of the world knows it because you just found it out. Yet you yesterday didn't know, but you gonna hold the rest of the world accountable for some stuff you just yourself found out. And really, that's one of the reasons that I got this channel is because I be reading. I try to continually improve myself. I'm really into self improvement. I'm really into reading self improvement type stuff, and I keep that in mind that like okay, if I just learned something, if I just read something if I just found it out, that means there's probably somebody else in the world who doesn't know. Because yesterday I didn't know. So if I know this now, there's probably somebody else in the world who today doesn't know. So I mean, I don't have like a large following base or anything like that, but if I find something out, I would love to share it with y'all because it's like iron sharpens iron. If I find something out, there's somebody I know there's somebody out there in the world that doesn't know. Because a lot of the stuff I talk about, I just started thinking about or I just learned. So if I learn something, I know there's somebody out there in the world that doesn't know. And we got to be patient. We got to be patient with people. We can't assume that everybody knows everything that we know. You know what I'm saying? So the reason I go into that little tangent right there is because okay, you saying, oh, people should be more fiscally responsible. People should pull themselves up from their own bootstraps. Oh, I'm a millionaire. I made myself a millionaire when I was 23, 24. Why can't everyone else do it? Like, dude, just because you did it doesn't mean everybody else can do it. Just because you have certain talents, certain abilities, certain skills, certain experiences, certain networks, certain relationships that you were able to leverage, certain disciplines, certain levels of knowledge that you were able to leverage into financial success, doesn't mean that the rest of the world has those same opportunities, has those same resources, has those same assets. So you can't hold the rest of the world to the standard that you hold yourself to. You know, my dad, who's still alive, shout out to my dad. He might be watching this. I don't know. But my dad, when I was a kid, it would be like me and the guys out in the neighborhood, and let's say we're doing something bad, like breaking into an abandoned house, or we're doing something stupid. Running around where we weren't supposed to be, doing something stupid. And I get home, we get in trouble, a fight in the school, whatever. We're kids doing something stupid. And I get home, and my dad, he did. My dad never really yelled at me, but he would like sit down real calm. My dad is always calm, like always. So my dad would, if I get in trouble and all the guys got in trouble, even if and all the guys, we all in the same neighborhood, so the guys might be like right there with me as I'm getting in trouble, and my guys are like right there with me, and he's like, Lou, why did you do this? And I got to explain to him the whole situation. And before I get beat, because I used to this is back in back in the day where people actually still got beat. So right before I would get beat, before I get beat, he's gonna tell me why I'm getting beat, and then after I get beat, he's gonna make sure he gives me a hug every time. So before I get beat, I would ask. He was like, "All right, before you get beat, do you have any questions?" Because he always talked to me like I was a man. I would be like 6 years old, and he would be explaining to me why I'm about to get beat, like what I did wrong and why I'm about to get beat. And he'll be talking to me like I'm a man, very calm. I'm scared. I know I'm about to get beat. I'm over here. I don't want to. I was wondering when David and they all went to, they said they would skip to school, and I didn't want to be the only one. So I went with them. Something stupid. And, and he would be like, okay, well, whatever, after he gets done with his lecture, I know I'm about to get beat. And do you have any questions? This is what he would always say before he beats me. Do you have any questions? I'd be like, yeah, I got a question in my 6-year-old voice. Why am I getting beat? They were there with me. They were there with me. Why are none of them getting beat? They did it worse. Like, oh, they were stealing out the store. I didn't steal nothing. I might have took something from them, but they the ones that stole it. So why am I getting beat if they stole something out the store and I just took it from them? Why am I getting beat? And he'd be like, listen, let me tell you something. They might do wrong. Two things. One, those aren't my kids. Two, I hold you to a higher standard because you're a fraud. You know why? Because you're a fraud. That's what he would always say. I hold you to a higher standard. I start crying. Why? You know why? Why? Because you're a fraud. Every time. I'm talking about every time for years. To this day, I mean, of course, I'm grown now, so he doesn't beat me now. But to this day, I'll never forget it. That's how I was raised. You got to hold yourself. And I say all that to say you got to hold yourself and your family, your kids, or whatever. But you really got to hold yourself to a higher standard. And you got to cut the rest of the folks some slack. When we're out here looking at society and we're telling other people they got to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and they got to solve their own problems and they can't be looking to the government for any assistance. Listen, just because you were able to be successful in life, just because you had the discipline, the sacrifice, the relationships, the network to build yourself up into something, just because you had the ability to be successful, doesn't mean the next person has the knowledge, has the ability. We always think that the next person is just as good as us, and it's not always true. We got to cut the rest of the people some slack. Just because you hold yourself to a higher standard doesn't mean that the rest of the people should be held to the same standard. So I say all that to say, yes, there is a need for us to have personal accountability when it comes to our financial and fiscal, situations, especially as Black people. I would suggest that we be more fiscally responsible. But as we do that on our individual lives, as a collective, we cannot ignore the fact that as a collective, the only way to improve the foundational Black society as a whole is through repairing the harm that was caused through slavery and Jim Crow and segregation, through mass investment from the federal government in the form of reparations. There's just no way around it. There's just no way around it. Now, with that being said, and with that knowledge being understood, how do we realize? How do we make this a reality? Hey, shout out to y'all in watching the stream. Be sure to hit the like button. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for watching. But how do we make this a reality? Because we know, as I said earlier in the video, we cannot do this alone. And when I see other people, I'm FBI, I try to push this reparations movement, but I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people in the grassroots who support reparations, who make their own videos, hold their own lives, hold their own, clubhouse platforms and are pushing the line in their own way. But one thing that I see way too much of is a lot of division. I see a lot of division, especially even myself. I recognize that there's division between us and the tethered, and that's because it's necessary because the tethers attack us. The tethers are an impediment to us getting our reparations. But we definitely need unity with immigrants. There's a difference between tethers and immigrants. Tethers are the ones who come to America based on the laws that we provided in the 60s and then get to America, getting political movements, getting into politics, get into just grassroots movements, and talk against reparations, talk against the interests of foundational Black Americans. Those are tethers, but all immigrants are not tethers. A lot of my friends coming from DC, DC is a multicultural city. Like you cannot get away from immigrants in DC, and the majority of my friends are immigrants. Immigrants, not tethers. The majority of immigrants are really good people. They really are very supportive of foundational Black Americans. I mean, they're good people. They love us as a people, very supportive. Now you can say, of course, most of my friends are immigrants, fresh off the boat, and a lot of them are first generation, like they were born here. A lot of them were born here. A lot of them are fresh off the boat. Either way, as a whole, I've had nothing but good experiences with these people in real life. Now on the internet, you might hear a lot of talking, you might hear a lot of slander, a lot of other stuff, but in real life, I have nothing. I have nothing bad to say about these folks. You know what I'm saying? In real life, they're very supportive, and we need that. We need more unity with the immigrant class, with the immigrant folks. We need that. We need more unity. We have to distinguish ourselves as a people, and I'm going to have to make another video on the fact that the U.S. Census Bureau is starting to think or consider making the foundational Black Americans make the foundational Black Americans its own group on the U.S. Census Bureau. I'm going to have to make a video about that, but that's talk for another video. But as far as the necessity for unity, if we want to get anywhere with this reparations movement, we're going to have to use coalitions. There's no way that the population of foundational Black Americans, if we say that, let's say that the Black Americans, all together, Black Americans are 14% of the population, right? Give or take 2 to 4%. Give or take 2 to 4%. Let's just say that the all total Black population is 14%. What percentage of that is foundational Black Americans versus immigrants like Black immigrants, Haitians, Jamaicans, Africans, etc.? Because we haven't distinguished that yet. So if I was to guess, of that 14% that makes up total Black Americans, you might have 8 to 10% that are foundational Black Americans. So your numbers are getting smaller. Not only are you not considering the native, not the native, but the Latin Americans, the Hispanics. Not only are you not considering the Asians. Not only are you not considering the white populations who would largely vote against you, but then you're already dividing a large section of your own Black population. There's no way forward with that as a program. There's no way you can get that without the unity. So yes, there is a need to distinguish the tethers from the immigrants also. There's a need to distinguish the foundational Black Americans from Black Americans as a whole. But then I would like to see more immigrants distinguish themselves from tethers. There should be more of a conversation behind that because there is a legitimate need to distance ourselves from tethers who undermine us politically, legally. There's a need for that. It's undeniable. But at the same time, there's a simultaneous need for us to have unity as a Black collective with immigrants who largely, as I said, are supportive of foundational Black Americans. Shout out to everybody watching the stream. I appreciate y'all watching. Be sure to hit the like button. But yeah, there's no way we can get any type of progress. And King, I was telling the way I got onto this topic is I've been reading this book, Where Do We Go From Here, with King, from by Martin Luther King, and they had a similar program that they were advocating with A. Philip Randolph on his freedom budget. And there was a discussion that Martin Luther King was having with Stokely Carmichael. Stokely Carmichael was saying they were doing some march in Mississippi. Stokely Carmichael was saying, okay, we need to focus mainly on Black support. We don't want white people supporting. White people have supported us in the past, but we don't really. Stokely Carmichael was with the Black Power. They were just promoting the Black Power movement. SNCC, like the student I forget the acronym, but SNCC was supporting Carmichael, as well as Deacons of Defense were supporting Stokely Carmichael. But the SCLC, the Southern Christian, it's on the tip of my tongue. Y'all gotta rock with me. I've been talking, but the SELC was backing King, and they decided we're going to remain neutral. We're not going to go with the Black Power slogan because it might be a little bit divisive, and you're not trying to include these other groups who actually have our interests, who actually want to support us in our marches. So there was a division even at that time of do we need support or can we do this on our own? And a lot of times people demonize King saying, oh, he just wanted to be up under the white folks. But as I was saying before, that's not really true. King wasn't just like, oh, I just love these white folks. I want to go spend my money with white folks and we just need to integrate so there will be no colorblind. That's a whitewashing of history. The truth is, King was smart, he was logical, and he understood looking at our numbers and looking at the fact that white folks, there's a large population of white folks who don't even care if we're successful or not. They would come down here and just slaughter us en masse with no hesitation, talking about at that time in the 60s. He understood that his movement was stronger as a coalition, stronger with the unity than it would be with just black anger and black hatred. And just from a strategic standpoint, I play chess. Just from a strategic standpoint, King was right. From a strategic standpoint, King was right. Strategic and political standpoint, King was right. There's an obvious need. There's an obvious need for unity. Unity amongst the black folks as a whole, black foundational black Americans as well as the immigrants. We need unity. We need the immigrants to start differentiating themselves from the tethers, and we need unity as black people as a whole with white folks because the white folks and the Asians and Hispanics, as a mass of people, they outnumber us. Of course, the Asians don't. Hispanics are, I believe, just surpassed us. So it is going to be necessary that we make allies of these folks. Now, here's the thing: when you talk about allies, allies doesn't mean we change or weaken or capitulate our position. If in order to be allies, we have to give up on the fight for reparations or say everyone's included in reparations, the allyship is null and void because it would be defeating the purpose. Up until this time, I believe it has been defeating the purpose. Up until this time, we largely have looked for unity with these other groups at the expense of our own interests. So now up until now, we've had unity, what looks like unity, with us considering the Congressional Black Caucus promoting immigration, promoting the DACA programs, so promoting things of this nature that don't do anything to support foundational Black Americans. Our political movements, the Congressional Black Caucus, is doing nothing for foundational Black Americans, even though we're the majority of Black people in America. It's defeating the purpose of unity. We need unity, but we need unity on our terms instead of having unity on others' terms. That's my position. With that being said, and oh man, I really wish I could have went live on the computer. I'm going to have that back up for y'all tomorrow so I can give y'all a little bit better experience as we rocking, as we talking. I appreciate everybody watching, hitting that thumbs up button. But yeah, man, it's definitely mandatory that we acknowledge the fact that other people, other groups have helped us in the past, and we need other groups to help us in the future. That's it for tonight, guys. Peace.